from Julio Cruz and Gaylord Perry to Alvin Davis and Harold Reynolds to father and son back-to-back bombs, from Junior J, Joey, and Edgar with Randy, A-Rod, Dan, and the Sheriff, to Ichiro Moyer and Mikey C, to King Felix, Kyle Cruz, and Cano, to the present with Julio, Gilbert, Kirby, and Cal. I don't believe it. It just continues. My, oh my, it's another sports podcast.
My, oh my, it's another sports podcast coming to you live Sunday night. Man, what's good, Ty?
Oh, you know what time it is. We're just getting off of the crazy Christmas rush. Got a couple more weeks to go. But the real thing, Major League Baseball hot stove, cooking up real good, cooking with gas. The Mariners seem to be left out of it right now. But let's be real. Most of this country's watching football right now. We got bowl games popping, including the Pop-Tart Bowl, which I couldn't believe. I had so much fun watching that shit in my garage. Then we got the Seahawks, I think, falling short. Nobody knows exactly if they still have a chance or not. But like we were saying, man, is there a bigger rival for your beloved Philly Eagles than those Dallas Cowboys down in Texas?
Nah, it's definitely old school. Some old school hatred every time that we play. You could always throw the records out. That game is always going to be contested by hotheads, as we did see today. Big shout out to the security guard who got out the way instead of trying to separate two men twice his size. Yeah, man. Just what a time, man. Just what a time to steal a line from my man Meek Mill. I used to pray for times like this to rhyme like this. So I had to grind like that to shine like this, baby.
Ooh, I like it. I like it.
First place NFC East champions. Our man Saquon Barkley in the worst front office decision in the last 28 years. About to break Eric Dickerson's record next week. But honestly, me and our super producer Andy from Nashville were talking earlier tonight about it, and I don't think that we'll see where he's at after the first quarter. And if he's not within 40 yards after the first quarter, that boy's not going to see the field after halftime if it were up to me. And even Jason Garrett said something interesting during the pregame is, you would only play your starters if you felt that there was something about that team that you could work on helping you get into the playoffs. But there's really not, so there's really no need to risk it. I mean, 2,000 yards is quite an accomplishment. The record is something that the fans would want to see broken, but you know just as well as I do, what's most important this time of year is health, health, and health. Ask the Detroit Lions about how important health is right now. So, yeah, man, health, health, health. Shout out to Mariners Lifer, man. Thanks for joining us in the chat tonight.
Shoot, man. I mean, as much as I love the Eagles right now, the way they're playing football and their style of play travels to any shitty weather stadium. That's why I always worry about teams with high-flying offenses. Can that game travel to a shitty weather stadium? But, I mean, y'all know, you're not going to get to the Super Bowl with Kenny Pickett. Say what you will about Jalen Hurts. There is a definite difference between the two quarterbacks. I saw a really interesting stat, though, RG, and it was that 9 of Hurts's touchdowns have come from the 1-yard line after a great play by Barkley. So his stats might be a little bit bloated for the production he truly gives the team. But just from my eye test, man, it's not even close. I was impressed. Kenny Pickett did better than I thought he would do, but he is with 2 top dog receivers, running back who's having a historic season, and it's still a great offensive line. But, man, you got to get your quarterback back right, and that's why you got to be healthy going into the playoffs. And you said it with the Lions, man. They picked up Jamal Adams off the scrap heap and put him on the active roster immediately a couple of weeks ago. That tells you what kind of shape they're in.
26 players out in injured reserve or season-ending injuries for them. 26 players. So this definitely is the time where health is probably the second most important thing, other than making sure that you are clicking and whatever kinks you had during the year are all worked out. Answer your question, Mariners Lifers, why no show last weekend? I was in a desolate part of Iowa making a delivery in the truck that barely had a working restroom at the truck stop I was at. No real internet service, so I couldn't log on to the iPad to be able to get down. So, we just decided to take a Christmas break, and hopefully everybody enjoyed their day on Wednesday. Hopefully you got what you wanted. If you didn't get what you wanted, replace that hoe.
I didn't get what I wanted though, man. I got the shit I need. I got the people I love in my life. I needed some Seahawks playoffs this year because we're not going to be good enough to get a top draft pick. There's not a ton of obvious superstars in this upcoming draft anyways. We got a bunch of really good young players that aren't nationally recognized, but all the draft nerds and college football fans of the world will probably know why the Seahawks have gotten to 9 wins this year. Not bad, not bad. We seem to be stuck in this rut though at 9 wins. This could easily be the third straight 9 win season for my beloved Seattle Seahawks. But man, there's a lot going on though right now in the NFL that's really fun. And let's just go to it right now, man. You said Christmas, and most of my life, I've been so excited to watch NBA basketball on Christmas. And of course, the NFL doesn't give a damn about your feelings. They're coming in to take all the eyeballs, and the Baltimore Ravens look really fucking good on offense to me. That balance that they have right now makes me think that they could take this thing all the way.
They look good on offense, but what their problem is they're not the defense of the 2000 Ravens, and you can put points up on them. And all you have to do is just be able to slow them down for 2 drives, make them play from behind, and it's a win for you. It's a win for you. I remember my Philadelphia Eagles going into Baltimore, and the only reason why that game score looked the way it did is because we gave up a garbage touchdown with 2 minutes left in the game, and it was pure and utter dominance. Baby, their offenses, their offensive nice, but Lamar can be contained. Now when he's out there balling, the argument could be made that he should be the MVP again. I just can't see him winning it over Josh Allen. But again, Josh Allen, the argument for him, um, he always ends up with national eyes in his national eyes games. So everybody gets drunk off of watching his performances. But Lamar doesn't get that national spotlight the way that he does. And I mean that by the national game of the week. Allen is on there more and he's performing in it, and we tend to, get drunk off that fresh wine instead of being able to look back and everything else. But this is going to be an interesting race. If Saquon breaks the record, how does he not get MVP? So it's definitely going to be interesting as it comes down the stretch. Great time to be a football fan. A lot of good TV still left to be watched. Shout out to you, Tommy. Is that a big ugly flag and light combination behind Ty? You're damn right it is, but he has to make sure he has a place to sleep tonight. That's the only reason why it's up in his office.
Oh, you know it. It wasn't my idea. We're just trying to ruffle a little feathers, talk a little shit right there. But for real though, I mean the Ravens defense, when you bring it up like that, this isn't even last year's defense. Not even close. Forget 2000. We're never going to see those days again in terms of NFL dominant defense. But you make a really good point about Josh Allen and MVP and Saquon. The one thing I do know, dude, is not every year is the same. And just take Lamar's MVP season from last year. This year's Lamar, Josh Allen, Saquon Barkley, and Joe Burrow, I feel would have all won the MVP over last year's Lamar Jackson performance. It just depends on what year you're doing your thing.
Yeah, it all depends on what you like too. And the one name that doesn't get mentioned is Pat Mahomes. Yes, he doesn't have the gaudy stats, but that dude is going for a third straight Super Bowl right now with a team that's 15-1. But it is just is what it is. We got a lot of still got a game left to be played. Interesting to see how the voters come out. But what'll really matter is who's going to get the magical wins that they need starting in 2 weeks to get a chance to go down to New Orleans and host the Lombardi.
Well, shit, man, you said it. And the MVP is a regular season award. It's so the stats matter. No one can take away what Mahomes in Kansas City has done. I'm still going to say that they're the champion until someone knocks them off the block. But in terms of MVP, it is a regular season award. There is a distinguishable difference about the four guys I listed compared to Patty Mahomes, because we also got to give a huge shout out to the Kansas City defense. That is why I think they could be the first team to three-peat.
Yeah, their defense is playing lights out and even letting go of arguably one of their better players in the secondary. They haven't seen them miss a beat. Now, I can honestly say from my vantage point, I think that the powers that be handed them 2 wins this year. When I go back to watching how that defender from that guy on the line from Denver during that field goal just completely got ran over with no chance of keeping them from blocking that kick. Um, but again, it just is what it is. Let's see here. My man, Texas Power Ranger, checking in with us tonight. I know he's a Texan fan. It's been an up and down year for you. Thank God your division sucks. I had C.J. Holmes as my quarterback this year, and C.J. Stroud as my quarterback, and I'll never pick him again. I tell you that. Then thanks for joining us while you're watching Sunday Night Football. We'll get to some baseball hate here in a couple weeks once the Mariners decide to do something. I would vote Lamar over Joe. He says Mariners Lifer says it's Mahomes or Allen for him. Probably Allen. Lamar is inhuman. Give him number 3, says the homie Sunday Evening Media. Lamar's magical to watch when he has the ball, dog. There's just it's almost like for me watching Allen Iverson back in the day. You just never know what this dude's going to be able to do, and just any step he takes, he's going to do something to blow your mind. So I'm not mad at it. However it plays out, um, just happy that we've gotten some good football.
I'm gonna say this one thing about the Ravens, and it became really apparent to me against Houston on Christmas, and that's they need to play their way. If you get Derrick Henry rolling early and often, they can literally win the Super Bowl. If you can bottle up Henry and turn it into a straight drop back passing game, make them come from behind, like you said, they could get bounced in the first round. So this is a team I feel is dependent on getting that running game going, because now if you can run play action and you're forced to bring guys up in the box to stop Henry, make sure Lamar doesn't pull the ball around the edge, you got major problems, man, because you can't stop everything. So the key is make sure that you stop King Henry early. But man, how fun is that, man? Make the running back great again, and it's fucking happened, and I love it, dude.
Sure is, man. Sure is, man. Saquon Barkley, Derrick Henry, got to give love to Josh Jacobs. You got young cats out here like Bijan Robinson doing their thing as well too, man. So, it's definitely good to see some of that all come back. We did get a little spread and pass happy, but it's good to still see that, some teams are still able to get their offensive shit off by still running the ball. Nothing wrong with that. Nothing wrong with that. It's not a devalued position, just everybody got pass happy. And what they realize is not everybody is really built to be able to do that. And some of these guys need to smash you in the mouth with the ball. So, hey, man, I'm happy to see it. I'm happy to see it. And thanks, shout out Sunday Evening Media. Allen Iverson is a good comparison. That's every time he does something with the ball, that's what I think, man. I think of what it was like to watch Iverson back in the day, just not comparing their size because Lamar's bigger than he is, but just anytime he has the ball, you are liable to see something you've never seen before, and it's worth the watch.
Mm-hmm. They both have the uncanny speed and quickness. That's the direct comparison. Both dudes had just unbelievable speed and quickness. And I love to see that out there too, because in almost all sports, with almost all people, you're either quick or you're fast. There's a rare exception where a dude is actually really quick and really fast.
A lot of big time athletes out here in today's game. A lot of athletes, the guys with some crazy athletic uh, skill and ability. It's been nice to watch, man. There's been some good, interesting games. There's been some parity across the league. Even had fun watching Cincinnati and Denver the other night. Just Bo Nix to me is a rookie of the year. Just the guy's not afraid of the moment. Always seems to make the right pass when he has to, and even when he does make a bad decision, doesn't go over there and mope about it. Think he right now he's projecting the way just that this season is played off, and I know that they got their problems, but just watching their demeanor and how they handle themselves on the field, I'd much rather have Bo Nix than Caleb Williams.
Mm, interesting, interesting. I mean, I like where you're coming from though, because of Bo Nix's history, when you look at it, how his college career went, he's from Alabama. Since he was in junior high, he was supposed to be the savior for Auburn. It did not work out how he or the fans or the boosters or the coaches, nobody at Auburn wanted it to go how it went. He comes all the way up to the Pacific Northwest, dominates, except against UW, but he really proved the mental toughness to put all the negativity that happened to him in the South, put that all behind him. And it sure helps to get to the furthest corner of the country. We're in our own little Northwest cocoon up here, man. But the one thing I'll say about Bo Nix is, I went to the Oregon UW game last year, the best college football game I'd been to in my entire life, maybe the best sporting event I have ever been to, an atmosphere. I came away from the game thinking, damn, both those two quarterbacks look fucking awesome.
Yeah, man, and I'm glad that Penix is finally getting his shot as well too.
Mm-hmm.
Would it be interesting to see what happens when you actually get a full training camp with him, get to build the offense around him? It's not catering to what Kirk Cousins can and can't do. But hey, I'm not mad at Kirk Cousins either. Over the last 10 years, you have found a way to fleece your way to making $500 million in contract money between Washington and Atlanta, man. So and Minnesota as well too. So yeah, man, if you're Kirk Cousins, you got nothing to hang your head about. You're walking away with the bag, and that's the reason why we all show up and go to work.
Hey, he might not be going to the Hall of Fame, but he's going to the Hall of Fame for sports business. No question.
Chang is what he needs to change his name to.
I mean, that's a really good point, though, you made, because Penix and Cousins are really different, in my opinion. Penix has got one of those special arms. Kirk Cousins is one of those guys I honestly respect what he's done with his life and his career a lot more than I'd want him as my franchise quarterback for my favorite team, because this is a guy that clearly has gotten everything out of his physical God-given gifts, and he's honestly pretty ordinary across the board. Any sort of physical attribute you want to look at, he is pretty ordinary, but like you said, been able to become one of the single richest football players ever, and has put together a damn good career. But I'm so happy for Mike Penix. I'm a Giant fan.
Yeah, absolutely. Good to see the young buck be able to get his shot. And again, if you're Kirk Cousins, you got nothing to hang your head about. You get to go home and do what we all want to do at night. Lay your head on the bed of money.
Shit. He's got
Absolutely,
multiple
man.
beds.
Well, I ain't mad at him. I ain't mad at him one bit. My oh my, it's another sports podcast coming to you live each and every Sunday on YouTube. Man, happy to have everybody with us. Hope you all had a Merry Christmas. And from all of us, man, as we move forward, hope you have a Happy New Year as well, too. So let's get to that ugly ass flag and that ugly ass light behind you, man.
Let's
As
go,
much
baby.
as much as I hate them now, I don't have a reason to hate them. I'm a Lobo fan, but since we've been counted out in the way that everything works, everybody from a small town has a big school that they cheer for. So I cheer for Florida State, and again, Ohio State is no threat to Florida State. Um, I just feel that they are the Dallas Cowboys of college football. They're every year they go in so highly rated. have everything handed to them. And then there's been years where it proves that the Big Ten just can't compete with the rest of the conferences. I don't know if you could say the same about the Big Ten now as we move forward. Of all the teams that look damn impressive over the opening weekend of the CFP, Ohio State dominated Tennessee.
Yeah. Made
Dominated
me eat a
Tennessee.
lot of crow. Made me eat a
Sure
lot of
did.
crow.
Sure did. Well,
Let's bring back the curtains, man. Let's pull back the curtains. Because I was talking all this shit to RG, you know. Oh, I was so right. The Alabama and Ole Miss should have been in the CFP, and that's based on Indiana getting their asses kicked, SMU getting their asses kicked. I'm pickle licking on the SEC up here in the Northwest, and guess what? Tennessee made that conference look horrible. It is individual matchups. I totally get that, but we got how many people in college football crying, complaining that there should be more SEC teams in there. Look who we play. Look who we beat. Look how tough our schedules are in Tennessee. They looked like an FCS school, man. I saw some great meme that's like, y'all coming in here like you're prime Alabama and getting whooped like you're Kent State. So we got to really, I think I got put in my place talking all that shit too early instead of letting things play out. But man, records do matter. And I think that I got to not let the ESPN propaganda influence me to love the SEC so much because they're in bed together in business. So they have to promote that brand more than the others.
my thing with Alabama going into it was this. It is most of these decisions are based on what have you done for me lately. And there was no way that Alabama could justify putting Alabama in when other than Notre Dame's one loss to Northern Illinois, going to Oklahoma to a team that was 5-6 and that you were a 21-point favorite to, and then you go out there and you get completely manhandled and you lose that game by double-digit points. That hurt them more than anything else did. And the only reason the 3-loss team got in is because they won their conference championship. I have no issue with the teams that made it. I have no issue with that. Of course, Indiana was probably the most overmatched team in it, but you reward what it is that they did. They finished third place in one of the top two conferences with an 11-1 record. No way that they should have been left out of it. And as hindsight, everybody that goes back, and to me, that's just low hanging fruit. Whereas, oh, this team could have done better than this. Well, they had their chance to prove it, and they went down to Norman and got shell shocked. Ole Miss had their chance to prove it, and they fumbled the bag. Miami had their chance to do it and couldn't get it done. Iowa State had their chance, and Cam Bro just went apeshit on him and said, "Nah, this is my bike, punk." you had you had chances. You had chances. You had chances to win the games you were supposed to, beat who they put in front of you, and just go on from there. What makes this interesting and frustrating to me is as we move forward, how do you go about trying to schedule non-conference teams on your schedule? Do we just completely leave out the group of 5 schools and all these power schools just play each other and give them no chance to get some of these big dogs on their schedule to try to booster their strengths and earn money for the smaller programs? I know that these are cash games, but it's capitalism, dog. That's all that this shit is nowadays. We get to some. We get to responding, you guys, in the chat here in just a second. Just hold on with us for a minute. You know, money has completely just taken all this thing over with. The 17 bowl games, ESPN, of all the bowl games, ESPN owns 17 of them. They're pumping money in. They're pumping money in. They're pumping money in. They're controlling everything that we get a chance to see. The only fair thing about it is the fact that these schedules are made year in advance, and you have to win the games that are on there. You can't just reward somebody because of their name brand. There's one school that gets rewarded because of their name brand, and that's the one on the flag that's hanging behind you. Name me a year
But
they
they
haven't been.
stack wins
Name
every
me a
year.
year. Name me a year they haven't been outside the top 5 coming into the preseason. Sorry about that. The Dogs are out here having their own sports argument right now, apparently. But yeah, they stack up wins, but you also look at who they stack up those wins against.
Well, then
They
we
do
got to have the
play
same argument for everybody. They're in the
they do play some soft ass schedules. And this is what I'm getting at is how do you keep them from not just that evil school in your background, but how do you get these schools to want to mix it up with each other outside of their conference schedules? Because that's really going to be the only way to try to make the strength of schedule fair across the board. And then how do you avoid a team having the Tennessee effect where, yeah, they had a good year, they didn't qualify to play for their conference championship, but they went 10-2 in a good conference and just lingered around the top 10. You know, I thought that Penn State should have been a little bit lower than they were, but they lingered around, and then they go out and look amazing in their game against SMU. And I don't even think that SMU should have any gripe about being able to do that. They were a one-loss team with a chance to win a Power 5 conference going into this thing, and then you want to penalize them for losing their conference championship game while Tennessee, Alabama, Ohio State, the numerous teams didn't even get a chance to play for theirs. There's never going to be a fair way to give us a national championship in college. There's never going to be a fair way about it. There's always going to be
cry me
teams
about
left
fair
out.
and deserve. Cry me a river about being fair and deserving. Those things make me crazy.
It's what it does is it's good barbershop talk, and it allows guys like us to get on platforms and have these conversations.
Fair enough. Okay, so I have a question then. How do we get teams to schedule tougher games when the committee clearly rewarded record over strength of schedule? Because you said it. If I'm a talk dog, I'm padding my schedule. Alabama versus Mercer is going to happen every year, as much as I hate it.
Hmm?
Or
what it is you don't go and shit the bed against Oklahoma. Don't go and shit the bed against Oklahoma.
Okay, I looked it up, dude.
You're going to take the easy. If you're going to take the easy route out, you better run that fucking table. Because if you take the easy route out, and any slippage you have is the reason why Alabama's playing Michigan on a Tuesday this year instead of in the CFP tournament.
Check this out, dude. For Alabama, they were 14.5-point favorites at Oklahoma. They were 3.5-point favorites versus Tennessee. They were 22.5-point favorites versus Vandy. You can't lose 3 games as the favorite and expect to get in. That's where I crossed the line. Now I have a question for you though too, because when it comes to the teams we're splitting hairs over, because this is what it is. When we're picking the last couple of teams, we're splitting hairs here. Do you want to take into any account of what kind of pro talent a college football team has as one of the, not like one of the first tier criteria, but maybe second or third tier when you're trying to get the last couple teams in? No, okay.
No, because you're not having this tournament based upon who's going to send the most guys to the NFL.
Okay. That's fair. I just think that's a really legit question. I think we need to ask ourselves more.
How many guys, you're a UW fan, how many guys off of that team last year are in the NFL right now?
Oh, man, they must have had like 10 at least, probably 7 or 8 drafted. And I would tell you that the UW right now has 1 NFL player, and it's the running back. So, I mean, we're talking drastic drop off. And you saw it with the record. I mean, they literally didn't win a road game, dude.
Yeah, man. But yeah, let's interact with the people who we do this for. Why did Cam Ward not play the whole bowl game when NFL teams judge him for that? And he also goes on and says he wants him on the Seahawks, so I'm praying for anything to make him fall down the board. It's a business decision. It's absolutely a business decision. He had enough good shit on his tape, And once he was done making his mixtape, there's no more need for me to go out here and help the University of Miami make another single dollar off me. It's time for me to look at the rest of my future. I got no issue with that. I have more of an issue with guys pulling out or transferring or entering the transfer portal before bowl games than a guy playing a half and be like, okay, cool. Because what victory is there in him for to keep out there and get going?
It's the
I
fucking
got
Pop
no,
Tarts Bowl.
I got no. Hey, you can go to Dollar General and get a goddamn Pop Tart. You can't go to Dollar General and get an NFL career. Alabama didn't deserve the playoff. Absolutely, Tommy, we agree. Jackson Dart had his chance and ended up crying like a baby on the sideline. That's absolutely true as well too. When you win the games that are on your schedule, don't leave it up for second chance. Go out and fucking dominate. Can't do that. Only team who was in without a shadow of a doubt was Oregon, because they won everything they were supposed to win. Yeah, won everything they were supposed to win. And as far as the people not giving Boise State a chance, it took 2 miracle kickoff returns and a field goal at the end of the game to keep Oregon from losing to Boise State. They've earned their right to be in.
Yeah, damn
Sunday
right.
evening media. We have no chance at a top tier quarterback in the draft. Keep coming. We can get in the draft conversations later. Tommy, pretty sure that dog just said fuck Ohio State. I love it. I love it. I think the Miami coaches wanted to see his backup play, or it was him fully making a business decision, or both. It could have been that as well too. Let me see what I got in the cupboard, since there's a point where I can't get anything else more out of the guy that I already have out there. Maybe we need to ask our resident Miami fan, our super producer Indy, what he thinks about it. But he might have to give his thoughts on social media. I know he don't like being on the microphone
Well, let's
all
just
that
put it
much.
like this, dude. You're always recruiting in college football. You're recruiting your own players nowadays. Plus, you're recruiting the transfer portal. Plus, you're recruiting high school dudes. I do think the coaching staff had somewhat of a decision in this. And even if deep down in his soul, if Mario Cristobal comes out and blasts his quarterback. He blasts Cam Ward. Oh, this is some bullshit, man. He's got to be playing. That's terrible for recruiting. So even if in his core he's against it, publicly he has to stand by his quarterback, because you're just losing recruits left and right if you go that route, in my opinion. And what are we talking about here, man? I openly admitted I watched nearly that whole Pop Tarts Bowl in my garage doing some shit yesterday, and I absolutely loved it. But it is the goddamn Pop Tart Bowl. We're acting like this is the college football final, for Pete's sakes, and everyone's getting so mad at Cam Ward. But have we forgotten this has literally been a regular thing for almost a decade? Basically, any star player with big time draft hopes has been sitting out their bowl games unless it's for the college football playoff. This is nothing new. We've seen Christian McCaffrey, Leonard Fournette, all those dogs from your Florida State team. If I looked it up on the internet right now, I could probably find 50 more top stud guys we forgot had done that. This is nothing new. People just like to be tripping when they feel like it.
And then what it does too, on the other side, is it gives that the next guy a chance to get looked at, and then he has a business decision to make. The guy who stepped in and played for USC the other night versus Texas A&M, he might have not only earned himself the right to be the USC quarterback, but also earned himself a right to get some NIL money and go somewhere else. Just amazing how what money has just changed all of this into. And the thing that I don't like is we'll criticize a 21-year-old for making a decision based upon his future, where if you had that same choice, you'd probably do the exact same thing too. Do I stay out here and keep risking it for money I've already got and there's nothing else to be made? Or do I give myself a fighting chance for these guys who are going to give me generational money to be able to change it? And good news for you Seahawks fans listening in here. you have a fighting chance. The Atlanta Falcons have just taken the lead over the Washington Commanders in the
Oh,
second
oh,
corner of a game you need in order to be able to survive tomorrow until the Lions and 49ers break your hearts.
oh, God. The Lions are going to kill the 49ers. I don't see that happening. But on any given Monday night, I just want to pop into what you were saying, though, really quick about wanting to see what you got in the future at that position. And although I didn't watch the game, I was highly critical this morning seeing that the Tennessee Titans rolled out Mason Rudolph instead of Will Levis. Do I believe in Will Levis? No, not really. But what are we doing? On the second to last game of the season, you have 3 goddamn wins, and you want to put out this aging veteran who was barely a backup to begin with. Nah, man, you got to see what you got in your young quarterback, whether it leads to the first pick in the draft, whether you win the last 2 games, you got to get more information on your dudes. Super producer Andy Vaden Podcast Services. He chimed in on our text just saying that he 100% thinks it was kind of a combination of the coaches and Cam Ward. They want to see what they got in the young quarterback. And I get that. I there's so many ways to look at this. The one thing I'm going to do too, RG, is I want to emphasize, let's think how many amazing college football players we've watched in our lives that had 0 NFL career or very minimal NFL career. And now with this NIL money going around, the average NFL career is 3.5 years. If you're a fringe guy, it's probably a year and a half. So you really gotta get the money while you can. And so I really, although I don't like it, I fully support the football players in college getting that money while they can. Nothing is guaranteed in the future. A great prime example, let's go back to one of your Florida State champions. When I was a young buck, I thought Peter Warrick would be the shit for sure. And it didn't happen. And we could probably name 1,000 other guys like that. So these young dudes, man, they got to get it while they can, because there's nothing promised in the NFL, no matter how good you are in college.
I'll give you one above Peter Warrick, going back to my same Florida State Seminoles. 1993 national champion, Heisman Trophy
Yeah.
winner, Charlie Ward, decided,
Yeah.
I'm going to go play basketball for the New York Knicks. It's I think that NIL is a good thing because, let's be honest with it, and I hope I don't ruffle any feathers. And if I do, come see me outside. College athletics for a very long time is modern day slavery. These universities and these coaches making billions and millions of dollars, and if this kid goes and asks somebody for $10 to go get himself something to eat, he's committed a violation that can run the risk of him getting kicked out of school and blackballed from going to any other school and can't do anything for his life. If you take athletics away from him, if you take the chance to get an education away from him, you have just made the newest rapper and trap boy on the street for some of these dudes. I think it's absolutely fair and warranted that these dudes get paid. Is there going to be a way to regulate it? I'm sure the people, the haves, will always find a way to keep the have-nots up under their thumb. But why not, man? Why not? Why not? And like you said, not everybody who even gets these multi-million-dollar NIL deals is going to even pop up to something fantastic. Bryce Young, for instance, has got a whole lot of money in Alabama when NIL came out. Got the Dr. Pepper commercial spots that Quinn Ewers has now. Unless that boy can find a way to grow and start performing on the field, he's going to have one of those 3-year careers that you've talked about. But if you walk away with the money in the bag, is it really losing?
I
And
don't
are
think
we
so.
and are we all
As
just
long
sitting
as your
back here just
family's
pocket
straight.
watching? Yeah. And
Yeah.
are we all
As
just
long as
sitting
your
back here just
family's
pocket
straight.
watching? Yeah.
Mm.
Absolutely. Absolutely. But
And
as
I
long
want
as
to
it
get into
provides for
something
good
really
TV,
quick.
that's all I want. I just
Yeah.
want it to provide for good TV.
And the thing is, like, Bryce Young at least has the first pick of the draft type of guaranteed money. I am really talking about your sixth or seventh round cornerback who changes schools once or twice to get maybe 150 grand. Because that sixth or seventh round cornerback that we never, ever, ever remember, except for the day that he was drafted, we're never going to hear from him again. And that at least gets him off to a great start in life in a really expensive country. So I'm not going to hate on any of these guys because this is a very small window to get what you can while you're there. And we know how cutthroat this shit is, man. They're always looking to replace you, no matter how good you are. Look at the Seahawks be trying to replace Bobby fucking Wagner for how many years now, and every time they do, we wish he was back here. So don't always think it's a guaranteed thing, man. They'll get rid of you the second they possibly can. Find someone younger and cheaper.
Again, I go back to what have you done for me lately? Absolutely. But again, I'm just a different type of fan. I don't get real caught up in what they're paying this dude and that dude. I'm happy for him. The only money that I'm concerned about is money that I can make. And since I'm not in your business to be able to make your money, I can't hate on what you do and what you do not turn down. I'm not upset at what business decisions you do or you don't make. There's just no reason to hate on some of this shit. Just enjoy it while you can, because it's not always going to be this way.
And you were talking about the inequities between the colleges, the establishments, the administration, the coaches, all of that shit. I think a great word would be, is it indentured servitude or something of that nature, where it's not really slavery, but kind of a step below it. I just looked it up here, dude, and this really puts it in perspective. NCAA was founded in 1906. 1906. This was a governing body that was supposed to have the relative power to, like, the Washington State high school athletics. It was never a governing body that was supposed to be figuring out what to do with billions and billions and billions of dollars of income. And so it was probably 30 years too late to get it completely organized into a fashion that would have been beneficial to everybody. But here we are. The NCAA took so long that the judges intervened and said, nah, you are going to give these guys a transfer portal. You are going to let them receive the monetary payments that people are willing to give them, and you are going to have to deal with it. But the NCAA was never meant to deal with this sort of money, and it kind of just got out of control. And here we are, and I'll still stand by the players because you know what, RG, you know how I feel. I'm always stand with the labor over the billion-dollar conglomerate. I am one of those people as well.
Absolutely. Absolutely. No lies told. No lies told. No lies told. Let's talk a little bit of baseball here. Some moves have been made. Some guys are going somewhere. Former Mariner Teoscar Hernandez re-up for 3 years to stay with the Los Angeles Dodgers. Former MVP Corbin Burns signed a 5-year contract to come out to the West to pitch for the Arizona Diamondbacks. And the Seattle Mariners are just all out to lunch, enjoying some Dungeness crab and just kind of waiting to see who they can dig up from the sandlot to come play for us this year. How frustrating is it to see deals getting made and people trying to cook things up, and we just have put ourselves in such a terrible position where we can't go after free agents. We're going to have to go bottom of the barrel shopping again to put a decent product out there, and yet are still expected to have faith in this ownership group.
Well, the faith is gone. I just hope that Jerry DePoto and his staff can be good enough at their jobs to overcome it. And next year will be the key year because that's when the double Mitch Witch will be off the books. But we don't want to wait till next year. The window is right now. Fuck, dude. The window is halfway closed right now, in my opinion. It's halfway closed. We can either open this bitch up or slam it shut, however you want to go about your business. But we got Texas Power Ranger talking about, hopping in with his rivals and shit. Jock Peterson signing with Texas. There they go. That's a great move for the team. They traded their previous first baseman, I can't even remember his name right now, to get some more relief pitching help. Texas is getting better. I thought they were going to bounce back even more this year. The Boston Red Sox will be better. They just completely upgraded their pitching staff with Walker Bueller, Garrett Crochet, Aroldis Chapman. That ain't no great value shit. Those are some premium dudes no matter what the age. Oh my God. I'm heartbroken. Carlos Santana signing back with Cleveland. We could have easily had him. We could have gotten him back to Seattle. And the big headlines, the New York Yankees lost Juan Soto. They still signed Max Fried, Paul Goldschmidt, traded for All-Star closer, and traded for Cody Bellinger. Man, you said it, dude. I love to be on the outside of the club, hating on everybody, but that's just a coping mechanism, man.
Same thing that makes you laugh makes you cry. Just just pain. And we don't have anywhere near the budget to be able to go out and get the guy who's the elephant in the room that's left on the board, who I think could help us. The two dudes who I think could help us. Um, just trying our best to hold on to prospects in our pitching staff, but we're not going to be able to get that done without letting somebody go. And as much as it may hurt, I think that you tried to prove that you were smarter than what you were. And not only are there smarter people in the room, there's smarter people with deeper pocketbooks who can actually make things happen. And it's the Thursday before Saturday prom, and we don't have a date yet. And options are going to become extremely limited, homeboy.
Texas Power, I agree. I don't know how far the Rangers will come back, but I guarantee you there'll be a better squad this year. And we know the elephant in the room. I've been pounding the table for Alex Bregman since the second free agency opened. I knew that it was probably a pipe dream, completely unrealistic given this team's options. But to me, our biggest hole is at third base. The guy's a gold glover. He's a two-time champion. He probably had his best years behind him, but he is still one of the most productive third basemen in baseball. This is the type of dude that can put you over the top. And I know I'm a broken record, bro, but I wouldn't be so mad if I knew the Mariners were just a shitty squad. We're close. We just need ownership to care enough to push us over. All I was asking for was 30 to 40 million more dollars, and they can't give us that. It is what it is. Jerry's going to have to be smarter than everybody else. But you said it, man. There's a ton of tech companies where their guys are equally smart as Apple, but they don't have the resources to compete, even if they have the same intellect, and they ended up getting buried in the dust.
Sad to see. Sad to see. We were on such an upswing, and just the unwillingness on them to pull triggers when they could have, and just have kind of just left us here floating in the breeze. And to me, it was very poetic the way that the season went for us to jump out, And I guarantee you they were walking around the office spaces with their chests puffed out. And then we got to June 19th. And the same old gripes having to come back up. Same old gripes, man. Same gripes. But again, I'm not going to let the Mariners get me down while we have one more good holiday left to try to enjoy before we keep it moving. NFL playoffs are about to start. CFP is hot right now. Man, it's just such a good time for sports right now. I personally wish the NBA was a little bit better, but I might be in the minority of people who actually still give a damn about the NBA before April. Hate to see it in the condition that it's in. I hate to hear all the negative conversations going up all about the NBA because it is one of my favorite sports. It's the only favorite sport. It's the only national sport we have where my favorite team is within a 5.5 hour drive, and it's easy for me to go patronize them for their games. I would have never thought that of all the NBA teams in the world who had a chance to get a talent like Kevin Durant, if anyone found a way to waste having him for 3 years, that it would be the Phoenix Suns. Breaks my heart.
I mean, and when it comes to Phoenix, sometimes you just run into a dynasty, and they did that twice. I'm
And
not
I
going
don't
to
even
poke the
think
tiger
it's
with
so much.
Robert Ory hip checks, but
I'm it's. I mean, we had a chance. We had a chance, and just once we got to Game 3 of the 2021 finals, just you could just see the shift in everything. And yes, we need to get Sarver up out of there. I'm still not mad at getting DeAndre Ayton up out of there. We shouldn't have brought him back the second year as well, too. But to give up the barn to get KD and not be able to completely build around him, I was excited to have Bradley Beal. I'm not sure how much any of that works. And if you tell me we have to lose Bradley Beal to get Jimmy Butler, I'm all right with that. But I also don't know how Jimmy fits in as well as this thing does too, because we're going to need to get KD his shots. We're going to need to get Booker his shots when he's healthy. And I don't see Jimmy Butler playing the role of Dennis Rodman. I just don't see it. And I just don't know what we can do to be able to help us. I mean, when the season started before KD got hurt, we were number one team in the West. KD gets hurt, comes back, Booker's hurt, can't put a winning streak together. We're not even a playing team right now. And we're a KD injury away from being a lottery team. Just sad to see my Phoenix Suns fall apart.
well, they have all the talent in the world, but you got to put together a team in a productive manner, man. And you got to have guys that are willing to play their role. If I were the Suns, I would get Bradley Beal out there as fast as I could and just try to find. They need a dirt dog on that team right now. They just and you because you just said Dennis Rodman. The Lakers just traded for Dorian Finney. And that's the type of dude the Suns need, just a true 3-and-D guy. You know, they got the scoring, they got the true point guard that I wanted them to get, but there's too many mouths to feed. They gotta get someone that's happy to just lock your ass up.
Yep, absolutely, man. Thought that Torrey Craig could have been that guy, but just I guess it's just not meant to be for my
So
Phoenix
Tommy
Suns.
misses the 90s and early 2000s hoops, man, and Commissioner Silver, LeBron James, and Kevin Durant all came out recently and said the amount of 3-pointers per game is hurting the amount of viewers. One thing I always loved about basketball was the diversity of the game, in that you can have a Shaquille O'Neal and a Hakeem Olajuwon head to head at the same position. You got Michael Jordans and Reggie Millers, and the Phoenix Suns with pace and space. They were the first ones to do it. The Spurs moving the ball all around. The Bulls and the Lakers with Phil Jackson and the triangle offense. To me, my Sonics pushing that ball up the floor like a mother with the original Lob City. There was so much diversity in the game. Now it feels every team plays the exact same way. I echo what Silver, LeBron, and KD are saying, that there needs to be some more diversity in the game. Is extending the 3-point line further out going to help, hurt? Or is this another thing where analytics have kind of crushed some of the spirit of the sport and the watchability like we've seen in the ultimate outcome baseball style?
The only thing that I could really add to that as well too is the competitiveness amongst the players. Old school basketball wanted to bust your ass 82 nights a year. These dudes don't really give a shit until we get to April, post All-Star break. There's no real animosity towards each other. All these guys are friends. All these guys hang out with each other in the off season. All they work out. They're all godfathers to each other's kids. I it reminds me of when Kendrick put out Control and was like, "Hey, I got people in this game I respect. I got people in this game I don't respect, but I'm here to make it clear. I'm here for the number one spot, and if that means going through you, I'm going to do what it takes to be able to get there." And a lot of people fell back. A lot of old school rappers were like, "You ain't gonna talk to me like I'm a bitch." But really, what he was doing was like, we should be battling to see who's really the best and not just who's got the biggest contract and who's making this money out of it. I really wanted to see Boston come out feeling disrespected because of the way that Jason Tatum and Jaylen Brown were treated during the whole Olympic thing. I really thought that Indiana and New York would give us some of that old school shit. But we're not going to get there with these guys just really want to come out and take 48, 50 3-pointers a game. What was that game between the Celtics and the Bulls a couple weeks ago where they combined to take like 123 3-pointers in the game? Fast break. Fast break. You got a dude in a position where you could cook him and posterize him in the paint. One of those dudes is running out to the 3-point line. Just the computer nerds have just ruined the way that almost a lot of these things are played and just has almost made it completely unwatchable. Now,
And what's the best highlight? The best NBA highlight for the most part is the angry fucking dunk, dude. Sean Kemp making you his bitch, man. That's what, dude. I mean, it ain't nothing like an angry dunk right in someone's face, and the game misses it. And I'm with Mariners Lifer. A lot of it's just the intensity, and I don't know how to get that back though either, because even in like the 90s, MJ and Charles Barkley were super close friends, and you would never know it when they were on the court. So it might just be a culture thing, but you don't get paid right now. If you want to get a $300 million max contract, you got to be hucking it. So there's really no incentive for them to play otherwise right now, at least in my opinion.
the scene, one of my favorite scenes in The Last Dance is during the Bulls Jazz finals, where those guys had just come back from the Olympics, who were going to two Olympics together. Jordan's giving a press conference. Malone and Stockton are just sitting there in the balls of the arena. And they're not going to leave until they have a chance to dap Mike up. But there's no words exchanged, no hugging or whatnot. He knew why they were there. They knew why they were there. Jordan came out, they shook hands, and then they left trying to go out, figure out a way to smoke this guy the next night. Just, it's okay to be a part of the brotherhood, but it's still a competition. And these new guys just don't respect it that way. They have their, now also too, I don't know what it's like to have $1 million sports contract and then also $1 million media brand. You know, we're trying to build this media brand here. And you don't want your conduct to affect the money outside the arena you play in, but it is affecting the way that you make the money in the arena that you play in. I just don't know what can trigger it. But even as hardcore as an NBA fan as I am, it's getting hard for me, dog. And like I was even telling you too, the way that some of this media stuff works. I live in Albuquerque, New Mexico. I am 5 hours away from Phoenix, 6.5 hours away from Denver. I have YouTube TV because I like Sunday Ticket. Because I have YouTube TV, I don't get Altitude Sports anymore, which carried Nuggets games. I don't get Arizona Family Sports, which carries Suns games. In order for me to get that, I either have to go to Xfinity, DirecTV, or Fubo. If I go to Fubo, I can get Suns games, but then I don't get the chance to do anything else. And I hate having to pay for 9 different packages just to be able to get what it is that I want. So we were having this conversation too. What was the point of the war to cut cords when now even YouTube TV next week is going up to $85 a month before taxes? It was $49.99 when I first signed up for this shit.
Dude,
And then
it's
I can't buy the
ridiculous.
league pass. And then I can't buy league pass because geographically was the games that are blacked out to me are Suns games. Just Just completely waste of shit. Joker doesn't want to be friends. He want, and Joke. Yeah, Joker's the only closest thing we have to a killer. I would say that Anthony Edwards might be next on that list. Draymond plays like that every night, but it's hard for you to name 10 guys who actually look at it like that compared to the 150 NBA basketball players who are in the league who just half effort until April.
Mm-hmm. And Joker is a different kind of cat, and I think Giannis is kind of in that category too. But some of these guys with more of the Mamba mentality, so to speak, they're not from the country. They're not growing up in the same AAU environment as our hoopers. So they have no friendships. They don't give a fuck about none of that. They're here to win games and especially make some freaking money. And I just got to ask you then, it pumped me up a little bit to see there was a bit of a fight with Denver and was it Phoenix the other night with Nurkic getting popped in the jaw. And so I like that. I think it's good for the league actually, but then again, it's to me it's like where's the intensity between the lines? It goes back to the Ohio State Michigan game where they come up and want to start fighting Michigan and I'm asking myself, if you had that intensity during the game, you probably would have won. So I'm not really sure where to go with that one.
Just a new world we live in, dog. And at 41 years old, I have slowly begun to accept that this new world isn't meant for me anymore. So I just want to sit back and just whatever it is that you're offering me, if that's what you want to tell me that your new form of talent is, I'm all right with it. I dare you, don't bait me into a conversation about somebody from this generation being greater than the other. It's an immeasurable, intangible. And if we are going to put numbers on the board, you no one still competes with Michael Jordan. Um, it's just different nowadays, dog. It's just different nowadays. In this world of participation trophies, the the only one true sin is really not giving a fuck.
Yeah, I hear that. I hear that. I just wanted to ask you a quick question then, because you were comparing it to Kendrick and doing what it takes to get to the top and be number one. Who was the number one star in his city when he was growing up?
In LA,
Yeah,
Kobe.
yeah,
Hmm.
yeah. I truly feel that doesn't just affect sports; it affects the entire community, no matter what avenue you're taking in life.
50 even was on, I want to say, Andrew Schultz's podcast. And he was talking about how LA guys from the end of that era are just built different. They're just built different. They take things absolutely personal and would love to see that mentality come back into the way that these sports players handle things nowadays. Nah, we're not gonna. What was that famous line from the greatest 30, one of the top two greatest for 30 players that 30 for 30 documentaries that ESPN put out? I want to say it was the players from Miami talking about the dinner they were at with the Penn State players the night before the '87 Fiesta Bowl, and that guy got up and said, did the Japanese have dinner with the Americans the night before they bombed Pearl Harbor? No, we the fuck out of here. that's, that's what I want to see sports get back to. But like I said, I've accepted the fact that it's just not going to be like that anymore. I'll take whatever it is you tell me is the best form of entertainment. I just want to see a competitive game.
Mm-hmm. I
Yeah.
mean, and let's be real, dude. For me, at least for me personally, it would be really hard to be mad if I had like $300 million in my bank account.
Absolutely.
I mean, so
Absolutely.
I got to keep it real like that, you know. They're not everyone's Michael Jordan who can make up stories in his mind to be a killer every night, you know. If I had some of these max contracts, I would be pretty damn happy every day also.
True. True,
So
but you listen to the stories about how Phil Jackson even said in his book, Kobe will do whatever it takes to beat you on the basketball court. And that's where the real difference between him and Jordan stops. Because if you're playing dominoes, Jordan wants to bust your ass. If you playing hide and go seek, Jordan wants to beat your ass. If you're playing Street Fighter, Jordan wants to beat your ass. Just we're not gonna have guys like that who are just so crazy motivated and doing whatever it takes to get there. That hey, I love you as a friend, but you're gonna have to take this L because you're standing in my way. That's just not the way that these guys view competition anymore.
that's cool. That's cool. It is what it is. I'm not gonna get up in arms over it anymore, man, because that's why I'm like off a bleacher. I'm leaving Facebook groups because people be getting crazy about real stupid shit, in my opinion.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Absolutely, man. But again, we don't tell you how to fan. We're just here to have a friendly conversation amongst some like minded people. Happy for those of you who take the time out and join us each and every Sunday night for this live YouTube show. Ty, anything else you got for the people?
Absolutely. Absolutely. Although it's been a week or two since it happened, you gotta love these guys as coming back. And although this dude only played about half a season for our beloved Seattle Mariners, my oh my, the greatest leadoff hitter in baseball history, Ricky Henderson, may you rest in peace. A true icon in a game where most of the all-time greats, most of the guys with a WAR over 100 are from pre-1920s. Ricky Henderson is one of only 3 players in the last 50 years to amass a WAR over 110. This guy was literally the greatest leadoff hitter ever. I want you to speak on it because, as baseball fans, especially in our age group, Ricky Henderson was something special we'll never see again. And my condolences to his family.
To me, Ricky Henderson invented swag. To me, Ricky Henderson invented
Yeah.
he but before people got to calling it, Ricky Henderson was stood up one time with a microphone in his hand and he said, "Today, I am the greatest of all time." Because you knew if that dude got to first, there was nothing you were doing to get that dude off the base path. I was lucky enough that my very first Major League Baseball game, because my dad was a fan of the A's, was to go to the Oakland Alameda County Coliseum July 14th, 1991, and got to see a game played where Ricky Henderson was playing for the A's, Mark McGuire was playing for the A's, Jose Canseco was playing for the A's, and Cal Ripken was playing for the Orioles. I will never forget that day as long as I live. I'm blessed to be able to have a chance to get to see the guy do it live. Um, that batting stance, man. I I wanted to bat like that so bad in little league and just realized I was too fat and not athletic enough to be able to hit like that. So I needed to stand up and keep my hands up. That was the only way I was getting that bat through the zone. But yeah, man, shouts out to the legend of Ricky Henderson as well too. For those of you who follow many sports as I do, another condolences we want to send along our way since we are some semi broadcasters here in this media forum is Greg Gumbel as well too. Watching him on NFL countdowns and March Madness wasn't March Madness until you saw Greg Gumbel on the TV breaking down the brackets and all that good stuff, man. So yeah, man, a big shout out to Greg Gumbel. May he rest in peace as well too. And even though I wasn't alive during this time frame, we did lose a president today. So a shout out to the family of Jimmy Carter as well too.
Yeah, I hear you. Carter's well before our time, and presidents are always polarizing, so it's hard to really know if you weren't living that era. But Everyone, he is one of the more well liked human beings as a president, I would say. Like, I saw multiple things today on the news outlets where various people are saying I didn't like his policies, but I surely respected him as a person, and I truly think that's missing on both sides of the fence in our government today.
Absolutely. The last Democrat that won the state of Texas during the presidential election was Jimmy Carter.
Oh, no shit. Wow.
The last Democrat that probably will ever win the state of Texas in the presidential election, Jimmy Carter. And the measure of a man is what he does when the spotlight's not on him. And I have some friends here who are benefits to have homes for their children from Habitat of the Humanity. Am I probably saying that wrong? But of the work that he did there, and not just a work with money and name recognition. There's plenty of footage everywhere of people just with their cell phones of him showing up to random spots in his late ages with hammers and nails, like, "Hey, what can I do to help?" That's a man. That's a man. So shout out to you, Mr. Carter.
Amen. Amen. Well, I'm glad we were able to speak on these because all in their own ways, because we have to admit, correct me if I'm wrong, it's Greg Gumbel that passed. Okay. I mean, he's definitely a pioneer in his business, you know. So he opened the door for many people of your color to follow in his footsteps. And so we got to give a huge shout out to him. And I just want to go over this really quickly because I popped it up on my cell phone right here. Ricky Henderson, most all-time leadoff home runs, most stolen bases, most runs scored, first ballot Hall of Famer, two-time champion, one-time MVP, 10-time All-Star, three-time Silver Slugger, and I love this one, dude. If a baseball player stole 60 bases per year for 22 years, they still wouldn't pass Ricky's stolen base record. So rest in peace to all three of those men. They all made great impacts in their very different ways, but we just want to give a shout out to those men who made impacts in whatever way they could to people's lives.
As well, too, as you know, this is the end of the holiday season. So condolences to anybody who we may have lost along the way, who we forgot a chance to mention over the course of this new format over the year. I do want to give a special shout out to our live chat, the people who show up and rock with us each and every Sunday. It's been almost a full calendar year since me and Ty went on this journey, separate from where we started at. I couldn't be happier to have a better tag team partner in the game than him, the guy that makes it sound like $1,000,000, Indy in Nashville, Vaden Podcast Services. Grateful for them. We do hope you continue to rock with us as we move forward into 2025. Got some new things planned for it and just to find a way to make it better. But again, we couldn't do this without your support, and you're the reason why we do this each and every week. For those of you who listen to the podcast only, just continue to download them, help us with those numbers, help us with those likes. I still would like to see Mariners Lifer and Tommy and some of you guys take it, man. Take it. Join us for a live episode. Let us be the co-host. Big shout out to Jerry B6, Eric Niels, some of the other guys who have filled in when I'm on the road and not able to make it. Yes, we do have there will be a show next week. We always plan to be live. We got some news on the personal front. Um, Professional life is making a little bit of a change for me, and should open up more avenues for me to be able to join you guys every Sunday. I'm excited about that moving forward as well too. So yeah, big things coming up from us in 2025. We appreciate you guys for rocking with us. As always, this is My Own Mindset, another sports podcast brought to you by the good folks of Vaden Podcast Services. Live episode Sunday. We try to be live at 5:30 East Pacific Standard Time each and every week. For those of you who can't join us live, the podcast is available for download each and every Monday, Tuesday night, wherever platform you like to get your favorite podcast from as well too. Big Merry Christmas, Happy New Year to the biggest Ohio State fan I know, Miss Katie Matsumoto. Hope you get a chance to enjoy some of these games coming up as well too. Thank you for all the hard work that you've done. This couldn't be possible without you. Little Lake Stevens in the house, Albuquerque, New Mexico in the building, Nashville, Tennessee in the building. My Own Mind's another sports podcast. Follow us on our socials at My Own My ASP, Twitch, YouTube, Facebook, Twitter, MySpace, OnlyFans, Blue Sky. What else am I forgetting? Nah, man. Hey, happy to have you all, and thank you all for joining us each and every week live from My Own Mind. It's another sports podcast.